Thanks so much, Jay, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Super excited to talk more about energy and where we're going at AppSmart with energy services. So just as a quick background, I want to remind everyone, that the other big utility, energy, right? We're all used to telecom and cloud. The natural gas pricing continues to goes down, and it's exciting right now because electricity pricing is very closely associated with natural gas pricing. And so that has opened a huge window of opportunity for everyone in the channel right now, especially in light of what's going on in the world. So ultimately, the ability to go and save customers money without an installation, customer service is still being done by the utility. The energy is coming from the same source, so you don't have to worry about it's a new network and all these kinds of things. It really has never been a better time to get into the energy business. I know that sounds cliche, but it is so true. What's exciting about talking about energy efficiency as well is the fact that, with efficiency, you don't have geographical limitations. So a lot of people who in the past have said, oh, well, energy is only in some states. Well, the products and services we're going to be talking about today, we can pretty much sell them nationwide. Now, obviously, it depends on the size of the opportunity and how remote it may be. But I wanted to mention that there's a golden opportunity there, ubiquitous coverage throughout the US. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide. Okay, and so what I'd like to do now is just go ahead and quickly introduce, our panel for today. But before I do that, I wanted to mention that we'd like you to submit your questions in chat, and we'll answer them at the end, unless there is a specifically relevant question to the topic being discussed at the time. If we have time, we might consider one of those. And there'll also be a survey at the end, so please stay for that. We'd love to get your feedback. So with that, super excited again to have today joining us, Greg Gustafson with EV Connect, Lori Connor from the Deduction Group, Colby Ezel from P3 Cost Analyst, along with Michael Nicholas. And also joining me today from our own AppSmart Energy Services is the director, Patrick Mason. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide. So as a quick introduction to what we're going to be going over today, I'm going to go over again a little bit about procurement. I think it's important that everyone fully understands the opportunity. Again, that natural gas pricing has really kind of raised the ocean for everyone in terms of the opportunity that we have today. So I want to go over that quickly. And then in addition to that, I'll talk about efficiency and ancillary products. And this is actually part 2 of the ancillary products review and the efficiency. So then Greg is going to be speaking to, modern electrical vehicle management. Super exciting with EV Connect right now and where things are going. And just EV charging in general in the industry is really, really growing. So we look forward to hearing about that. Lori Connor is going to be speaking to us about IoT technology to detect leaks and address water loss. So that's also very exciting. And then finally, we're going to have Colby and Michael speak to cost analysis and the ability to do energy expense management. A lot of us know about Telecom Expense Management. Today, we'll show you the opportunity in energy expense management. So let's go ahead and move to the next slide. And this one is exciting because it's an upgraded map. For those of you that were on our first couple webinars, this has been upgraded since that time. Of the 48 continental states, we can actually sell in 43 of them, which is exciting. We do need some volume, however, in a lot of the states. You can see here on the map in gray, those states are actually all going to require a little bit of spend. Typically, they like to see $5K per month in spend in the gray states. However, it's not a hard and fast minimum. If someone's billing $2,000 or $3,000, they might consider that. Obviously, the bigger the opportunity, the better chance of getting it done. But just so you know, there is ubiquitous coverage for the right size customer, which is very exciting. You can see, obviously, the Northeast and Midwest and Texas are very mature markets in energy. And so those are some spaces that you can probably get more traction in, although there's probably also more competition in those spaces. And then finally, the Northwest, you can see, is the least deregulated in the country. But that's where the efficiency conversation comes in, because the products and services, again, we're talking about today, you can sell and service up in those states. So, with pricing so low, again, it's a golden opportunity right now. Electricity is a little tougher in only 15 states. So again, really a golden opportunity. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide. And so, with this slide, the trend again here is that when gas pricing has gone down this much, it's happened 3 times over the past 30 years. Every single time that happened, it went up at least 10% or more in the following year. That's why now is the time. So I want to be very clear about this. The golden opportunity with the pricing being low today is the gift that keeps giving. Because let me be conservative and say that if you could save a customer 10% today, and it's usually probably more than that, upwards of 20 or more sometimes, that savings of 10% today is nice. Everyone wants to save 10% if they're buying from the same source and don't have any lift. But what's nice and the gift that keeps giving is that by next year, that 10% will be 20 or more. It's hard to say exactly how much, but the point being is that now is the time to lock in on natural gas and electricity pricing because it's so low right now. And so even if your savings are not amazing right now, 10% is not amazing, it will be an amazing savings as of next year. And if they're in a 3-year contract, they could experience significant savings, especially in year 2 and 3, if that makes sense. So I wanted to go over that and help everyone understand why and what the history involved is. It really helps, I think. So, what's also nice is you don't have to have a tickler file in energy. And the reason why is because you can sign up a customer today, even if their contract's not up for 6 months or a year. And so ultimately, you don't need a tickler file. You can sign them up, lock them in on today's rate, and even a year from now when the pricing may have gone way up, they'll still get that rate. So again, that's why the opportunity is here. The pricing is low. We're able to lock it in today for a future start date. So again, think about the power and the dynamics of that. So with this slide that you're looking at here, this selling guide is actually designed for you and your sellers. It's not designed for your customers because it speaks to the benefits of energy services. It talks about the persona targets and the sales targeting, qualifying questions. So it's really more for you and your sellers. And so for that reason, this piece is not, we haven't co-branded it for anyone. But let's move to the next slide. And this is a co-brandable piece. And so with this one, what's exciting here is that you've got something where you can put your logo on that upper right-hand corner right there. And you can see why it's a nice customer-facing piece because it's got the graph of the natural gas and that low pricing that we're seeing in natural gas. So you can also see the key benefits there, how it works, the 1, 2, 3 step process, as well as having the map there for customers. So anyway, that's pretty much it for that slide. We can go ahead and move to the next one. This is more what we're going to be talking about today. And so this one is exciting because it's also a brandable customer-facing piece. And it gets into segmentation, and there's a few new, it's segmented now between recurring and non-recurring. You can see the left side's recurring, the right side is non-recurring, equipment-based. So once again, I remind you, there's no geographical limitation to most of these products and services on this page. So that's a really nice feature. You can see we've got electricity and natural gas there, but we also have building controls, sensors and IoT, HVAC for building management, energy expense management, and we'll talk about all those things today. On the last call, you heard about LED lighting, which is a real popular product in efficiency. And you're also going to hear about water today. Lori's going to go into that. But reminder that we do have valves that can also save a ton of money. In fact, my property right behind me, I'm saving over 30% on my water bill. So I'm also a client. So anyway, EV charging we'll get into as well. And then solar and cogeneration were on the last call, but just so you know, we do have that. We've got some really interesting AI and automation for those services. So let's go ahead and move on. And so, this is an exciting one and it's brand new. So ultimately, when we look at this referral program, the big question is, don't have time to sell energy? We get it. We understand that. You're all busy. You're focusing on your core business. We're in a pandemic. Why would you move from your core business? I would implore you to look at this program, because if you don't want to jump into a new industry, even though it's way easier to sell electricity and natural gas than telecom and cloud, if you just don't really feel like you have the ability to jump in, we can help you and tap the relationships that you have. So ultimately, if you give us a list, even one email address or a list of email addresses, we will reach out to the customer, copying you, keeping you in the loop, and engaging them on energy services, starting off by telling them what I've been talking about for the first few minutes of the call, that the opportunity is here today. So, that it's time to take a look at energy, and you'll still get 50% of the commission for doing that. So again, we want to be sales enabling, and we feel like this is a way to do that. So, because we understand people are really busy or may not have a comfort level with getting involved in energy. Again, we will help you with everything. What's also nice about this program is that you can kind of learn as you go. You can kind of get that experience to the point where you could do it yourself long term. So it's also like kind of on the job training, for lack of a better term. The other thing I wanted to mention on this slide was the President's Club opportunity, which also has come up. So very excited to announce that you can sell 30,000 in energy services, and you can end up, getting 2 tickets to paradise. So we're going to be in Divas next year, and super excited to be able to incent everyone with our President's Club opportunity. You can also qualify by mixing in your energy sales with other sales like telecom and cloud and SaaS to get a base growth qualification. So there's a couple different ways to go selling energy. Let's go ahead and move on. And I think we're now at the point where we can get ready to start the conversation. So before I do that though, Patrick, anything you wanted to add before we dive into the content and the panelists?
A great job covering all the aspects of electricity and natural gas. I wanted to reinforce, and thanks for everyone being on the call, that the first step that we've been generating as far as getting an opportunity started in sending in electricity and natural gas bills along with water and waste bills when you can has really started the process, and we're getting more and more every day and seeing more and more opportunities and wins. It started the process with getting that low-hanging fruit in procurement and moving the opportunities onto solutions like EV Connect and Deduction Group and cost analysis. So we want you to have the opportunity to own the customer for its entire experience in energy, and these additional tools and providers that we're bringing on board will help you do that. So thanks for everyone who's been sending in the bills, those on the call that have not started yet. It's really a simple opportunity and exercise in getting an immediate cost savings, or at least a great energy plan in place for your client. And it can bring you on to the next opportunities within the energy space that we can present today. So I don't want to take up too much time and leave some room for the panelists, but I'm here throughout and at the end and always to answer and help assist on any opportunities.
Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate that. So now let's move into the efficiency conversation, the topic for today. So first up is EV Connect. So wow, Tesla passing up Toyota in sales last month. Must have excited you guys, huh, Greg?
That's for sure. Yeah, really brought our industry to the forefront, and their stock has been doing so well of late as well. So that's been very exciting in our industry to see great success.
It's so exciting. As a Tesla owner, I'm enjoying it, and it's fun to watch and drive. Just a little bit of background. EV Connect is a SaaS company in the energy business. So not so different than, some of the folks that we now work in traditional cloud. So you don't have to branch too far out of your comfort level, right? So if you're comfortable with cloud, it's a good place to start. So Greg, I'd love to hear more about the world of EVs and what EV Connect is doing to address the market.
Thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity, Vince, and everybody who's attending. Would love just to give you some knowledge so you can go out in the market and get more and more companies excited about going with EV charging to help their clients who use electric vehicles. Next slide, please. Wanted to show this slide as it really shows the trend and the map of what's going to happen as time goes on. As you can see in 2023, in just a few years, we're going to need almost 1 million EV charging stations to take care of the need of folks like Vince, who already drives electric vehicles and those kind of things too. So in this market, it started with, you know, cars that would go maybe 50 to 70 miles of range before they need to be refilled up in some way or another through electricity. I was one of those early adopters 7 or 8 years ago. Had a Nissan Leaf and was quick charging my car twice a day to get myself to get around and those kind of things too. But nowadays we have cars that go, you know, between 200 and 300 miles. And so a lot more folks are getting less anxious about, will my car run out of fuel? Will I be able to go to Vegas? You know, all these earth-shattering problems, you know, are being eliminated to some degree with the infrastructure out there. And it's part of my job as well as yours to help, you know, create that infrastructure and create that peace of mind for those folks who would like to go with an electric car. Next slide, please. So a little bit about our company. I wanted to give you some background on us. We've been around for a little over 10 years. And really, when you think about it, an industry that's only been popular for about the last 5 or 6 years, since these cars with longer range have come into the marketplace and those kind of things too. So we really feel like we've hit the ground running, have had that time frame to master our craft and really focus on what's important to drivers. And one of our most important tenets that we focus on is being an open and flexible network so that the station owners or the folks you'll be selling to ultimately can pair most equipment with our software. A lot of our competitors out there where you just have their equipment and their software is the only options that you can move forward with. So if they ever decide to change either one of those two components, they would have to completely rip out that station and start new. So we feel a better model is to give that client the options and allow them the flexibility as time goes on. If they wanted to choose a different station or a different network provider, we'll give them that flexibility to do so. So we have over 50,000 drivers who we manage and use our driver application on their phones to look for where the stations are, as well as start the initial charge session for their car. Over 5,000 charging stations that we have commissioned and that we manage and those kind of things too. We have a great driver and site host or the station owner support team that's 24/7. And we'll be able to enable those drivers to start their charging session if they can't figure out how to use the app, as well as manage all of the stations out there to ensure that our station owners are very happy so that they'll want to do more stations at different properties or add to the existing ones they have. So also wanted to mention that these are a lot of the companies who have chosen us over any other EV charging entity out there. Companies like the City of LA, Westfield Malls, various utilities like Southern California Edison here in California, NYPA and NYSERDA, who are providers in New York area, as well as some major chains that you'll recognize there as well. So hopefully this will give your customers a peace of mind that they're not the guinea pigs with this project with us, and that we have a long history of all those various drivers and charge stations to give them that comfort that we will be in the long run and be able to take care of their needs throughout. Next slide, please. What I want to do first was give you just a scope of all the different things that we offer and how we're able to help out your customers. So this will help you drive who you might want to focus on, what verticals, and those kind of things as well. So we do offer what's called DC charging, which is your charging that allow you to get somewhere between 150 and 300 miles of charging in 1 hour. So this is a great service for those who either have Teslas or those who are, you know, commuters, and they're looking for corridors where they can ultimately charge every couple hundred miles and allow them to go long stretches without too much interruption. Next would be, we have, as I mentioned, over 5,000 different charging stations out there, and those range from hospitality, retail, fleet, public charging, and those kind of things too. And we allow our drivers to see those stations through our driver app, as well as start their sessions through that as well. I would say one of our most popular verticals that we work with is workplace, where someone will have this as an amenity for either their employees, or they really want to attract their clients to come there that they're already EV drivers. And this is a great option where we can actually customize pricing and plans to allow various groups to maybe get a discount or incentives for coming often and those kind of things too. We do also offer multifamily charging, so your apartments, condos, townhome complexes that are out there. We offer that for those entities as well. And the great news is we have plenty of history with those entities. And so we can really advise your customers on how to price this accordingly. If we want to have parking time fees, where if they complete their charge session, we want to motivate those drivers to move their car along so more and more people can take advantage of that amenity that that entity is providing. In the long term, we're looking to get into residential charging. It's not as fruitful for us as the commercial is, but it's something we're looking to expand our market with and those kind of things too. Next slide, please. So again, just a little overview on our company. The EV Cloud is the nuts and bolts of what we offer, and that's how all of our software services derive from and those kind of things too. So it's a customizable platform that allows our station owners to really customize the plans and pricing and timeframes and when they want to structure the pricing, and that'll help drive those drivers, or potentially keep drivers away if we're really trying to customize towards the tenants or the employees. We can really structure in a way to make sure we're only focusing on those groups that they want to cover. We do have a great driver management system through our app that allows us to really give that driver the experience they would like across the board. One of the really key things that we do is we have about 20 different charge station manufacturers that we work with. We run every single one of them and every one of their products, if they have different lines, through our certification process, which actually happens locally at our headquarters in El Segundo, just south of the LAX airport. And that enables us to make sure that these stations are working synonymously with our software to mitigate any issues as time goes on. What's really important to us is having a 98% uptime guarantee of the stations, and that way that we won't have bad experiences for the driver or for the station owners across the board. We do have that great driver app that allows that customer, the driver, to really focus on where they would like to charge their car, get a feel for what the pricing is at that various station, and then they can make an educated decision on where to charge their car. We do have that great customer support for not only our drivers as well as the station owners as well. So if there's any problems whatsoever, we can manually start the charge sessions with a credit card, but most of the customers will typically do that through our driver application. Next slide, please. This gives a snapshot of our software system that our station owners and we can monitor to make sure everything is working as well as possible. You can see here it gives a snapshot of how many stations they have, how many, which is shown in blue, are in use, how many are available, if there are any stations that are under construction or not working currently. That'll give us a good feel of that too. You can see down here in the bottom corner that there's an actual station rating. And in this case, it would be for the whole group of stations that this organization has. So let's say we have 5 different Hilton hotels in 5 different locations. It would group all of those together. And then we could also drill down into the individual locations. And then we could also drill down into individual stations as well at each location. On the right side, it shows the amount of charge sessions in the kind of orange here. And then in the blue, it shows how much charging time has taken place over the last week at each of those stations offered there, as well as the plugged in time. So this is a really big part of what we try to mitigate and make sure we're minimizing as much as possible. So this is the extra time that someone has left their car there after their charge session has been completed. And it's really trying to do everything we can to get those drivers to move their car out of that charging station so that we can get more and more people taking advantage of that amenity from that standpoint. Next slide, please. So this really just gives a little bigger view of what's going on, and we really can use this data to help those station owners craft a game plan. Each of them will give us an idea of what they'd like to do when we initially get the stations onboarded and walk them through how the pricing and all the different plans work, all the different reporting. And then in about 3 months' time, we're going to check in with them to make sure those goals that they initially had are being met. And so we can use this data to drive different behaviors, potentially change the pricing to enable more people to get to utilize that station. Could be as simple as lowering the price, or just changing how we structured that pricing incentive to really maximize those folks wanting to move forward with our charging stations versus other ones. And so we can display the utilization of the station, get a feel for when it's being utilized during the hours of the day as well as days of the week. We can get a feel for the revenue that's being generated, as well as a sustainability piece. So we're really able to highlight the great that station owner is doing. And if they have a clubhouse or a central location where they can display this information on a TV, a lot of them are doing that to show what they're doing and how they're creating great things for the earth across the board. Next slide, please. Here, this just really drills more into how we're able to help those customers and really focus on monitoring the performance in real time. So we're able to see what stations are available, how the stations are working. We can even drill into the individual charging sessions to get a feel for how much time those individual users are ultimately using those stations, and that'll allow us to generate a great game plan for the systems across the board. What I tell most of the station owners that we sign up is, let's give this a 3-month window to get a feel for what's going on. Every station will be completely different based on the geography, the clients that they're attracting to, how many drivers they might have in the area. So it really gives us a great feel by utilizing that data and getting an idea of what might be the best way to move forward as time goes on. Next slide, please. So again, just highlighting some of the great things we offer, phenomenal station uptime of 98%. We do certify all the various stations that we have out there to make sure everything is working as well as possible. That networks operations center where we will have that customer service for not only the drivers as well as the station owners across the board. Next slide, please. Just to highlight a little bit about the driver experience. So on our driver app, they're able to see where the stations are and they can plan their trip around that. They can also see this through an app called PlugShare, as well as through Google Maps now. So we're able to have a filter on Google Maps for EV charging stations. And if the driver finds one of our stations and they don't already have our driver application on their phone, this will redirect them to either the Google or Apple Play stores so that they can download that, and very quickly, within about 30 to 60 seconds, they'll be up and running. They can enter their credit card information or PayPal account. They can put in their email and phone number so they can get alerts of when the charging session be done, or to warn them when their idle time fee might be starting if they keep their car there after they've already had the charge session completed. As I mentioned before, great to have the efficient and reliable charging stations that we certify to make sure there aren't any hangups and really to ensure that smooth process for each driver as time goes on. Great mobile app that allows them to start their charge through that engine and allows them to have a seamless process there too. About 95% of our customers utilize the driver app. And then lastly, we have a great customer service model that allows them to get help anytime they need it. So just to wrap up, we are a software company. We offer you as the sales consultants the ability to get the hardware through us, the stations, as well as the installation piece. So we can either do as much or as little as needed. Oftentimes the station owner will want to potentially use their own electrician. That's totally fine as long as there's certified C10. And that allows them to potentially save some money in that way as well. There are some great incentives in local areas. So here in California, there are some great utility as well as state programs that allow us to really give you a great feel for the incentives that help offset. So if I was a sales consultant, I would reach out to me, get a feel for where those various incentives are. And that way you can really focus on areas that really are standing behind the program and allow you the chance to potentially have a lot of the costs offset. There also is a 30% tax credit that will help offset the costs as long as they use that through 2020. So there's some great urgency for you as well. So I'd love to take some questions after everybody's done, and feel free to follow up with me for your individual site visits and customers that you wanted to get some feedback on. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Greg. And again, if you have questions for Greg or any of the presenter, you feel free to go ahead and chat them to us and we'll address them at the end of the call. So with that, Patrick, anything you wanted to chime in on with EV Connect before we move on?
I think what I love about this, we have so many solutions that save the clients money at the end of the day. through efficiency or lower costs, but EV Connect really allows the client to have some sort of revenue generating solution with charge stations, and also, hit what I think is critical social and PR issues around sustainability, and how that works, and able to broadcast that to a wider audience. So a little bit of a different take on it, but I think also very critical. So thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. So next up, we shift to water. Did you know that water is the #1 expense in buildings from insurance claims? I was shocked when I heard that. And while it's not well known, it's a massive opportunity, especially in the metro and other areas with large buildings. So Lori, I don't want to take your thunder, so please tell us more.
Thank you, Vince. And thank you everyone for joining us this morning. I'm Lori Connor, CEO of the Deduction Group. And as Vince said, yes, we're going to switch from the very important topic of energy to the equally important topic of water. And as you all know, there is sort of a nexus in a building between energy and water. And energy is utilized to pump and heat and cool water in a building, and water is essential and very important until it causes a problem. And so this is why we created our system, which is basically a cloud-based IoT system for sensing and notifying on water leaks for commercial properties. Next slide, please. As Vince said, I want to point out that's actually a real building on the right. That was not photoshopped. That's in San Francisco. It happened about 6 years ago during the drought. So the leaks don't usually come out quite that dramatic. But water damage is the #1 cause of property loss claims. It's a $10 billion a year problem. A lot of people are surprised about that. But it's the frequency, both the frequency of events and the cost of the events that make it a big problem, both for the property owner, the property manager, and of course their insurance carrier. An average claim is around $80,000 to $90,000. So I got recent data that a simple toilet overflow or toilet leak in a building is average cost is $75,000. So in many cases, in most cases actually, except for very tall buildings, our system is actually below that cost. So it's a real issue. Every building has leaks, and they happen 24/7. Next slide, please. And what the Detection Group does is basically we're focused on delivering a cloud IoT platform to monitor properties for water leaks. And we're doing other things too, but we're starting with the pain point, if you will. We like to call this the smoke detector for water, because we place sensors and everybody kind of gets an idea of how it works and how it's installed in a building. We have the sensors go on the floor, and water sensors on the floor instead of in the ceiling for smoke. We have over 400 buildings across the U.S., and we're protecting around $60 billion of property. So this is becoming a standard for commercial buildings. And what we do is basically we minimize risk of water damage wirelessly. These are some of our customers. I note that some of you are in Southern California. You might know the name Irvine Company. We are building standard with the Irvine Company office division. That means they put us in all of their buildings. So you might, if next time, if you're in an Irvine building, you might go look in the restroom and see if you can see our sensors. And we're also building standard with Kilroy Realty, which has properties up and down the West Coast from Seattle to San Diego. And you'll notice too, major property owners, such as property managers, such as JLL, Cushman & Wakefield, CBRE, are all our customers, as well as, so property managers, as I mentioned, property owners, and also corporations are becoming more and more interested in this. Salesforce is an example of a corporation that has deployed our sensors in their corporate headquarter buildings in San Francisco. Next slide. Here we are in the middle of a pandemic, and I'd like to point out that actually the whole area of IoT, Internet of Things, and wireless sensors, but we're talking about water sensors today, but in general, leaks don't know we're in a pandemic, right? But the issue is right now is a lot of the buildings are idle or have very very much of a skeleton crew and not too many tenants in there. So if there's a leak, it's less likely to be visually caught. So it's even more important now than even before to have a wireless leak detection system that you can observe from anywhere. And the other issue is, if a lot of buildings actually send somebody around to open doors and look for leaks, and now that's not a good practice, because if you enter a area that and look for leaks, you have to perhaps disinfect that area once again, and so that's a costly process. So really, the pandemic is increasing the need for leak detection. Next slide, please. I'm happy to report that we just received FM approval for our system. We're the first and only wireless leak detection system to receive this. FM, as you might know, is the largest commercial property insurance company worldwide. They are also known as the most engineering driven. So they built a standard, and then they tested and approved our system to that standard. So this is a very important certification for us. Next slide, please. A little bit about how the system works. It's a pretty straightforward system. We install sensors or endpoints, and there's two kinds of endpoints currently. There's a wireless leak sensor and a valve controller. So we can both sense the leak, and if the customer likes, shut the water off at that time. And then, basically the system works on a RF radio frequency communication backbone, which is consisted of hubs, which are up and down the building, the yellow boxes, and a base station, typically one per building. But if you have a very tall building above 20-ish stories, you want to put another base station, and one about every 20 or 25 stories. So Salesforce Tower, which we've done, has multiple base stations. The base station is the brains, if you will. It collects all the information and then sends it to the cloud, either by wired Ethernet or the option of a cellular connection if you don't have Ethernet capability in that building. We are also introducing a potential for Wi-Fi communication to the cloud, but most of our commercial customers prefer a wired connection or cell. The communication within the building is not Wi-Fi, as I mentioned, because as you know, Wi-Fi has issues penetrating concrete and steel structures of a commercial building. What the system does that's so important is that when a leak is sensed, the message is sent wirelessly down the building out to the cloud, and three things happen. Phone calls, texts, and emails are sent to the building personnel with the precise location of the leak. So the message will say, you have a leak on the 22nd floor, suite 2204 under the kitchen sink. So the building personnel can respond immediately to the leak, and while it's still a drip, drip, drip. And we also have a management platform, which each building or group of buildings has access to monitor their system remotely. So from wherever they are right now, most of us are at home, so you can see the operation of the system at home. Next slide, please. This is an example of the real-time alert. So the building personnel can get, this is a text, an email, and a phone call. Typically the phone call goes to the first responder, who is the one, because these alerts happen, as you know, in the middle of the night and on a 3-day weekend. So we want to have somebody that's there all the time to respond. Next slide, please. As I said, we have a cloud dashboard. This is an example of what the dashboard looks like. Every building or portfolio of buildings has its own dashboard with permission levels. So we monitor remotely every single piece of equipment that's installed for alarm status, which of course is delivered immediately, for lost communication, because some of the endpoints are wireless, communicating wirelessly. So if they lose communication, they will report, and also battery status for anything that's battery operated. And so this is a platform that the user can go in and create reports on how many leaks have happened in a certain area over a certain period of time, what are my most common leaks, how fast did it take somebody to respond to this leak, et cetera. It's really a, if you will, a building management system for your water security. Next slide, please. The platform is accessible from anywhere, any internet connected device. So it's platform agnostic, whether, many of our users use it and view it from their phone, but it's not an app, it's a internet cloud platform, so you can view it from your tablet or your desktop view as well. Next slide. This is some examples of buildings we've done recently. Irvine 400 Spectrum is one of the new complexes in Irvine, owned by the Irvine company on the right-hand side there. So, maybe some of you are based in that building. It's a beautiful complex there. We also, another one I'm proud of is Foundry Square on the left. That is in San Francisco. And it's actually the home of IBM's West Coast Watson. So we're protecting Watson from water damage. And as you can see, we do very, very tall buildings and also lower kind of multi-story buildings as well. Next slide. This is a case study. So, this is one of our flagship buildings. Obviously, Salesforce Tower is the tallest building west of the Mississippi. We've installed around 350 endpoints in this building. It's 61 stories, 100% raised floor, and you energy guys know that a raised floor design is more efficient for energy flow, but it's also more prone to having water leaks not be visible because the water and the piping is under the floor. So we're installed in all throughout the building. And I will say that since January, we've caught 40 leaks in this building. So these are not floods, these are drip, drip, drips that start out, which is where you want to catch it. And half of them are in the top 2 floors, which are the entertainment floors, and which they have what they call a living wall. So lots of trees and other things up there, if you've ever been up there, that are watered. And of course, the watering systems overflow, and it's a continuing problem. So that alone is important to monitor. But even without counting those, 20 leaks, if you take the $90,000 average commercial leak cost, that's $1.8 million of avoided damage just in that one building. Next slide, please. This is an example this is a complex owned by LBA Realty, and it's more of a campus situation where we have an 8-building system covered, 4 or 5. I think the top building is maybe 5 or 6 stories. We've caught, since January, same thing, we've caught about 4 leaks per building in that complex, saving them, $300,000 to $350,000 per building. So it's really a very cost-effective system. And finally, if I could go to the next slide, we think that really all buildings should be protected against water damage, and it's starting to become a very a sought after, if you will, system. And what I can say to you agents is, the detection group right now sells predominantly directly, but we are looking for partners, and this is why we're working with AppSmart, to both sell, install, and maintain the system. There's not a lot of maintenance involved, but there is some. And, as I said, especially in this time of idle buildings, it's even more important now than before. And I can say that cloud IoT technology makes this application very cost effective. So that's my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions at the end of the talk. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Lori. There is one quick question, which I think it makes sense to address now since you just spoke about it. And that is a question, is there a deduction for building insurance when that happens? So, wanted to...
Yeah, great question. The insurance companies are looking seriously at that. I think that you can get a deduction on your home if you install these kinds of things in your home. Commercial insurance is more complicated, right? Because there's a lot of different risks. But yes, the insurance companies are realizing that this saves them a lot of money. So yes, what I would do if the company installed this system, I would go to my insurance company and say, time to give me a discount.
Okay, great. And then another one just came in. Do agents have to install and maintain? I mean, obviously most of them don't do that. So
no. We do the installation. There's also third-party installers. So it's, if you're just interested in selling, that would be fine. And so we'd be happy to talk to you about that as well.
excellent. Okay, great. Well, also, Lori, I wanted to congratulate you on the accolade with FM approval. That's amazing. Great stuff.
Thank you.
I also really love this because not only do we have agents in the business park you just had on the map, we also have some clients there. So I think we need to jump in. I think we have some opportunities right away. That's great stuff. Patrick, anything to add real quick before we move on?
Real quick, no, I mean, just amazing success, Lori. Congratulations. I don't think we need to really look much farther than the clients you've installed in already to understand that it's really, really important to them. So just another great tool that you guys have that while you're in there doing your day-to-day, you can offer this as another menu item. It's really important. So thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and move right into P3 cost analysis. So we've got Colby and Michael to talk. And I want to just quickly mention, we all know about Telecom Expense Management and the power it brings to the relationship. It's really the kind of an overlay layer on top of what you're doing with them. And looking forward to hearing all about how we can address that untapped area as well. So if you guys could please tell us about your go-to-market strategy and expense management, we'd love to hear it.
Thanks, Vince. On behalf of Colby and myself, we're very excited to be here today to talk about the opportunity. So what I'm going to cover is some basic points. And the first one is who we are, what we do, how you can make money, what our ideal client prospect looks like, who we go after, and talk a little bit about the sales process, and then any questions and answers that we can help you with. So to start off with, next slide please, P3, who are we? We're a nationwide cost reduction franchise, and we've been in business since 1991. We've worked at over 30,000 client locations to date. So that's 30,000 audits that we have completed in businesses or companies. So what is it that we actually do? Basically, think of us as forensic accountants and expert negotiators. We audit our clients' utility, uniform, linen, waste, merchant processing, and manage print expenses. We do two things. First of all, we look at the past. So we look for any refunds that we can generate, any errors or omissions. And then in the future, we look at reducing overcharges for our clients. We have over 150 years of combined experience that, from a client's perspective, we do have the knowledge, the expertise, and the resources to dig deep in our audit process to find any errors. And obviously, with completing over 30,000 audits, we have some benchmark data that we use to help us negotiate what prices the client or company should be paying. The beauty of what we offer is we only make money if we save our clients money. Otherwise, we don't charge. So it's that old saying, no risk, no savings, no fees. So we put our money where our mouth is because of our knowledge and expertise. If we can move on to the next slide. So most importantly, how can you make money? You receive $500 per qualified and closed client and 10% of P3 revenue for the lifetime of that account. But I do need to say that no one makes money if we don't save our clients any money. In most cases, 9 times out of 10, we do find savings and implement those savings, and we share in the savings with our clients. The average contract is 60 months. Sometimes we're with clients longer than that. So what this really means is it's a nice residual stream of income that we both can enjoy. What I'd like to do now is share with you 3 case studies or typical scenarios. The first one here, it's a single location manufacturing industry. The total savings was just over 128,000, which means approximately just over 12,000 goes to the AppSmart associate. Move on to case 2. This was a multi-location, mid-sized home improvement retail industry. Total savings of 429,000 and approximately 42,900 to the AppSmart associate. And case 3 was a multi-location quick service restaurant, a total savings of just over 1.3 million and approximately 134,000 to the AppSmart associate. So they're just 3 different scenarios because our savings do vary, but the ideal clients that we're looking for are businesses anywhere with annual gross revenues between 10 up to 200 million, and in some cases we go above 200 million in annual revenues. But if you look at the specific industries with the restaurants or restaurant groups, for it to be worthwhile for the client and ourselves, it's got to be a minimum of 5 locations. For example, one of our clients is a Sonic franchisee, has 15 different locations. So any restaurant that has, or owner that has multiple locations with a minimum of 5, we'd like to take a look at those opportunities. Cities and municipalities, anywhere between 5,000 to up to 100,000 in population is our sweet spot. Apartment and property management, manufacturing, auto dealers. Auto dealers is a new one for us. We're making some great traction and some great results there. And we also work in the hospitality and hotel space. So what do we need from you? We basically need an appointment with the decision maker. Now, the decision maker can vary from business to business. It could be the business owner, it could be the CFO, it could be a CEO, and even the president. For the larger clients, and we're talking about 100 million in annual revenue plus, sometimes it's the controller or the VP of finance can get the deal done. But I do need to highlight, it's never the purchasing department. If we come in at the purchasing department level, we call that a kiss of death. It doesn't go anywhere because they feel threatened or they should be doing what we do. And they really don't get it. So it really needs to be the decision maker. And the next slide, please. The process, all you need to do is email us and let us know you have an interested client. We will work with you to find an available time to do either a call, video, depending on the location and the client. If it needs to be face-to-face, that's fine. You'll be working with a select few of our top franchisees. Obviously, this will depend on the client, the industry, the location, but we'll take care of all that on your behalf. Our franchisees then explain the problem, solution, our process. They close the client, and we'll manage the client throughout the audit process, and we keep you in the picture or in the loop the entire way. And that's it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Great stuff. I think our partners are finally ready to go to market after this last hour of products and services. So Patrick, before we get ready to wrap up here, anything you want to mention to add on to the cost analysis?
Just to highlight that they're truly experts in their space. I think they present well, but probably on the back end, they're probably fairly aggressive. So, which is what you need. And Aaron, likes to say, who's the CEO of the group, most of this stuff is hieroglyphics to the uninformed, but they really have a way to get through that and understand ways to save money. So another great tool.
So we have a question which just came in, and that is, who invoices the client for the service?
I can take that one, Vince. It's completely back office controlled by us. We do all of the invoicing and the collection on behalf of you for your client, and so you would simply sit back and receive the rewards of the closed audit.
Great, appreciate that. So and again, just a quick reminder. Well, first of all, any questions that you have for P3? I think we had a few questions already earlier, so if there's any more for P3, since we just finished with them, or in general, for any presenter, if there's a question, please submit that in the chat.
One question that I think I saw come through was location or geographic location. Are you restricted? to any parts of the country for different types of services, or is it wide open?
We are not restricted in any way in any part of the country for particular services. Obviously, different parts of the country will be better for specific services, different industries. So we have the industry expertise to be able to inform you of where to prospect and who might be a better potential client. But in terms of restrictions, there are no geographical restrictions.
Good to know. Thanks for that. So again, a reminder to stay after for the survey, which is going to be coming up shortly. So in summary, one thing that we've had success with a lot of partners lately who have said, how do I get into this? How do I do this? How do I sell energy? And so we've said to them, well, I think ultimately it's to tell the customers that you're now doing you're the utilities advisor now. This was actually my vision 20 years ago, and the timing just wasn't great, but the timing could not be better right now. So it's, hey, I've expanded, I'm now a utilities advisor. That's resonated with a lot of customers for some of our top partners who are selling energy. So I wanted to mention it. And then I think also it's, in light of what's going on in the world, I'm expanding my business and that kind of thing. So they get it and they appreciate it. Some of these customers have been like, wow, thank you so much. I mean, I had no idea about this savings even existing. So the fact that I saved 20% on my gas bill because you came and brought this and saved a ton of money on, because we found leak detection, detected leaks in our building. These are all things that customers will really appreciate right now. So maybe also changing the question of, usually you get the bill, right? Get the telecom or cloud bill. Well, just expand that and just say, get the bills, get the utility bills. And so, whether it's electric, gas, waste, other bills, get all those bills from them, and then we can do a proposal for you and get back. So this is going to help them save. It's going to help you create a new revenue stream. It's also going to increase the retention of your base. So I think that, for that reason, it's a massive opportunity. I mean, it's something that is just, in light of what's going on today, has come to the forefront. So, so if there's any questions, please do submit those right now, and we'll be happy to answer them. I don't know if I saw any come in. I don't think we have any. We're almost at the top of the hour though, so we're pretty close here. So unless there's any other questions, I'll go ahead and wrap it up. And reminder about the survey, please stay. And of course, we'll look forward to seeing you next month as we look more into some case studies and some other sales strategies. So we're going to get a little more under the hood on what agents are doing to have the results next month. So with that, I think we can wrap it up. And I want to thank all of our presenters today. Certainly appreciate the time and energy, no pun intended, that we brought to the table today. And we look forward to hearing from you with your opportunities. We're here to help. And so in good energy, thanks all and have a great day. Appreciate it.